Welcome to the Invincible Innovation Show, the podcast for changemakers. Each week, I talk to the most fascinating entrepreneurs and innovation leaders about innovation, strategy, and design. Hey everyone! Today we're asking what is the secret to a successful startup? And I'm so excited because we have someone that really knows the answer. Welcome to Invincible Innovation Live. I'm Adima Zolkario, innovation and value creation expert, and I'll be your host. And I have a very special guest with me, Dov Moran. Hi, Dov.
Hi there.
Great to see you. So Dov is the managing partner at Grow Venture, and he's an Israeli entrepreneur, inventor, and investor, best known for his as an inventor of the discount key and one of the most prominent Israeli high-tech leaders in the world.
If the guests are not from Israel, no one knows what is a discount key. It's a nickname in Israel for the USB flash drive. Outside of we have this name. So outside of Israel, the name is USB flash drive. In China, it's Yupon. In other countries, it could be some drive. It could be whatever. But anyway, one of the reasons that there is no single name for this device is because we, as the inventors of that, work with many companies. We try to create differentiation. So we gave it a variety of names. Yeah, that's part of the process. But,
so now I know something new just from the beginning, and that's nice. So we're live on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, and you're much invited to join us and ask questions. So let's start. So what do you think is the secret to a successful startup? And as a venture capital, what are you looking for?
So first of all, you made a comment at the beginning. Let me comment on the comment you said. We have to go on. He will give us clues, ideas, how to make a success.
Yeah.
I don't want to create over expectations. If this is your expectation, maybe it's better to go and watch TV. No, don't watch TV. Do something else. I have no secrets. There are no secrets. No formulas of success. There are maybe formulas for failures, which I can talk about, but no formulas for success. Anyway, looking at successful, we look for success stories. We look for great teams that would create really large success stories at the industry of the VC industry. Success story is the company that you invest X, you get 10X. They create overall value for the company of over $1 billion. This is the things that we are looking for. And it's a good question. How do we look for those success stories? What exactly are you looking at? The reality is that we are looking at actually 3 elements. It means there are many elements, but if I can overall talk about the elements we're looking at is 3 elements. People, most important, people first. The second one is the product or the technology has to be really something which is astonishing, superior not by 10%, by a factor of 10 times. Yeah, must be really something which is very hard to duplicate. Yeah, we like very much. We are a deep tech fan, so we look for deep technology. We most of the time look for the patents and try to understand the patents and how strong are the patents. Can anybody go and overcome these patents easily or not? So this is patents and technology. And the third element is the market, the potential. How large is the potential? If it's a great team, wonderful product, but they can reach revenues of $30 million and be very profitable, that's nice. We appreciate, but it's not for us. Yeah. So it's a people, product, and potential. Okay, double P, triple P. Yeah, you can call it.
Wow. That's it's hard to find, I guess. So,
you want another question? Do you want another question?
Sure.
You should ask now. Hey, people, how do you know who is good, who is bad?
Yeah, of course. How do you know that? I would say I would have a guess that if you're in Israel, everybody knows everyone. So you could easily ask for the ones that are entrepreneur for the second or third time. You could know that, but that's my guess.
But how about the ones which are first-time entrepreneurs?
Oh, I don't know. How do you do that?
Well, so first of all, we don't know. We make mistakes. We try to eliminate mistakes. Of course, we do have a lot of questions, not about the entrepreneur, but about the team. we look at the team. We don't look at the entrepreneur. If entrepreneur comes by himself, the chances that we will invest in his venture are practically low, much, much lower than if he comes with a team. Many times we say, you're a great guy. We think that it's a great idea, but do the work required to build some initial team and come to us back with a team. Why do we want to look at a team? Because if somebody is very, very good, but he is by himself, his chances to succeed are much lower. So it is, by the way, these things happen. But if you look at the history of success stories, I had my partners, they were part of the success of M Systems. Microsoft, of course, everybody say Bill Gates, but there were other guys that actually worked with Bill Gates. Google, Google are three guys. Yeah, that's a strength. There were a couple actually that bought somebody else that joined them and complement them in whatever they were not good at. So most of the success stories, Elon Musk, by the way, yeah, he's unique, he's outlier. But even Elon Musk, if you look at the companies he was part of, he was part of a team. He built a team, actually. So this is very crucial. It's a team. Then, still, how do we look at the CEO, which is the most important guy? We look at the three. In Israel, in Israel, everything you divide to three.
Yeah.
So we look at actually three elements. We look at the IQ. Is IQ important? What do you think, Adi?
It's not the first thing that I would say.
Well, don't be wrong. IQ is important. We don't invest in idiots, but IQ is really not the most important. It has to be the guy. We don't invest in really stupid people.
Yeah, of course.
But if you take people which they're only good in IQ, the IQ is 268. Yeah, they won't succeed. The chances of them to succeed will be very low. So it should be a combination of IQ, EQ, emotional quotient. How are they in their ability to relate to other people? How are they with their capability to understand people, to touch people, to lead people? Because entrepreneur is going and he's going through a very tough way. He needs to have the other guys following him. If he's great, he's running forward, and at some time looks backward, no one is there. That's a problem. Yeah. So EQ is crucial. But then comes something which people don't talk about it a lot, and I think that maybe I'm probably not the only guy who talks about that, because I did learn it somewhere else many years ago. There is something else which is very crucial, and this is something called AQ. AQ stands for adversity quotient. Adversity. Why adversity? If you are an entrepreneur, you will hit in your life as an entrepreneur many adversity situations. You will be insulted. You will get many, many times no. You will develop a product and find 5 days before launch that somebody else can with a better product, faster, cheaper, whatever. You will go to VCs or investors and they won't really listen to you, not us, but others. So, you will get your best friend from high school joining you, and you make promise one to the other, and then one day he comes and tell you, listen, I got a proposal from Facebook. Bye-bye. Yeah. And you have to be really very strong to sustain all these difficulties. And when I look at entrepreneurs, I did have a chance to speak with many entrepreneurs, good entrepreneurs that made success stories. One of the things that I can identify in them compared to others is their ability to swallow all of this, to get the hit, to fail, to get up on the feet and continue running.
Yeah.
So don't forget.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it's related to what others might call a growth mindset. It means that when you have challenges, you could grow from them, and you know that you have challenges. It's not saying it's all pink. You fail and you grow from it.
Growth mindset is important because many people say, "Hey, I'm okay with what I have. I'm okay with my job. I'm okay with my dependent, my role at the company." The guys who really create large success stories are the guys who always want more, who wants to be number one. And by the way, the great success stories are not the guys who made a company which is number 7 at the market. These are the guys that made a company which was number 1. Yeah. So you need to strive to be number one. That's a
Yeah.
growth. But it doesn't relate to the AQ I mentioned, I talked about before. These are two different things. Clearly, Grossman is important. AQ is much more crucial.
Yeah. But how do you know it in advance? Like, how do
Oh,
you know if they didn't fail yet?
so first of all, in Israel, first of all, everybody fails, and we always ask questions about, tell us about your failures, and tell us, many of them came from companies or startups. I always ask, how about the last startup you worked, why did you fail? Sometimes if it's an entrepreneur who failed, he has his explanation. When he says, "Oh, I failed because I hired the wrong people," it's your failure. I didn't get money from the right investors. I didn't. If the board wasn't good, hey, come on, it's not a guy who will succeed. You in Israel, as you mentioned, it's very easy to find what the guy made in the did when he was in the army, intelligence, navy, whatever. Even when he worked at companies, yeah, we do find how his what his colleagues thought about him. So you don't know, but you do have the ability to ask many questions and to get the feeling for that, and that's part of the job.
Yeah. Yeah, I understand. So we talked about failures and we talked about people come from the army in Israel. So how do you think your childhood, your home, and your parents who came from Poland, immigrants after the Holocaust, and maybe your military service, 7 years in the Navy, how do you think that affected you as an entrepreneur?
So first of all, I was actually in a way grown up by my grandfather. I slept with him in the same room until he died exactly 1 week before I went to the army. And my grandfather was an amazing entrepreneur at his days, 100 years ago in Poland. And he established factories and opened a bank and acquired land and did oil digging and stuff like that. And I think that when he came to Israel, after he lost 6 out of his 7 children, my father is the only one who stayed alive. I think that he wasn't really too much anxious about entrepreneurship, and so he did a lot of things. But he invented things in Israel as well. When he came to Israel,
Oh,
if you know
wow.
this very very large the garbage
Trash.
trash cans. Yeah. He actually, when he came to Israel, they were built of wood. And they were stinky. And he said, why don't they make them of metal? Now, he was very, very good. He had a factory that masgeria, how do you say it in English? Tool machining.
Yeah.
So he went to one of the children that studied at his factory and came to Israel and had such a factory. He went there and he actually designed and built the first metal trash can.
Wow.
We're still using till these days, the large ones, that they come and they
Yeah.
take it.
Yeah.
So he was still inventing stuff. He was, by the way, inventor. He had the invention of a water pump in Poland that is still in a museum in Poland. He was an entrepreneur, but he didn't want to make business. He didn't care about money. He didn't care about, so I think that I was like, he's going to educate me to become an entrepreneur in a way. That's the way I feel it.
Yeah.
I knew I'm going to be engineer from the age of 10, 12, something like that. And what are you going to be? I'm going to be engineer. It was very obvious to me. Yeah. Then I went to the Israeli army, and I had a very, very interesting service. The day of joining the army is October 16, 1973, many years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
47 years ago, actually. And this is, October 16, 1973. This is the October War, where Israel went into a very tough situation in its war against Syria and Egypt. And I was drafted. I very, very fast converted to be a tank driver and went I was in the Syrian, I was fighting again against the Syrians. I was I went into, excluding my team of people who planned to go to study in Technion and then join the Army or Navy, I was taking. It's coincident. I arrived to a place which was very very hardcore with a lot of Army activity. You know, when I was at the 3 months at the Army, I was already there at the front. Yeah,
Yeah.
A friend of mine nearby me, 100 meters from me, was caught by the Syrians commando, actually. So this, you know, then I went to study, and then I went to the Navy, and then from the Navy I was actually sent to the intelligence, and I was participating in developing encryptors, and then I did a lot of stuff in my service. I became, after a short time in the Navy, the head of the microprocessors department. And I was very lucky because this was the days that everything became microprocessor based. So my department, which was very small when I joined, became a very large one. And I truly enjoyed this. I do remember these days like, wow, every month we had a new project and activities and then things to see and things to learn. And a lot of excitement because all of it was very, very new. Yeah. And in the Navy, they gave us a lot of freedom. It's a small part of the Israeli overall army, so they gave us a lot of freedom, and this was really a very interesting time of my life. Now I left the Navy. I wasn't really ready for business because I knew nothing about business, but I got out with a lot of self-confidence, which is, of course, stupidity. No, it was very stupid because I had no clue about business, nothing really.
Yeah, but there is a very small gap between being courageous and stupid. It depends.
It was a part of the stupid, not courage. Yeah, this was stupid, really. When I began my first company, M Systems, I really had no idea how to sell, how to make a product. You know, I knew how to develop because I really did development. But you know, in the Navy, nothing is done in mass quantities. Nothing is done in the level of consumer quality. Yeah, things are very, very different, and took us time, but we did okay.
You did.
About me, at least, I know that I have it. I have a desire to learn. I always learn. I always study. I always when I was and I said that that's part of my life. I'm constantly trying to improve, and if I look at my history, even kindergarten, Technion, Navy, M Systems, even becoming a VC, when I began being a VC, I wasn't a good VC. I wasn't a good investor. Actually, I began to invest before I established Growth Ventures, and I did. Looking backwards, what I've done, I was terrible. I didn't have success stories. I was just successful by coincidence, not because I was good. But I do believe that I improve all the time, and probably if you give me enough time, I'll be very good, even as a venture capital.
Yeah. You cannot learn without really doing, because it theoretically doesn't work. You cannot read all the books about being an entrepreneur and it's not enough, right? But what you say, it's really interesting about your grandfather, because he has all the qualities of an entrepreneur, especially the last one that you indicated, because he went through so much and still he was a creator and inventor after so many like hard times, right? So that's for sure. So we talked about the abilities of an entrepreneur. So what would be the most important mental ability in order to be an entrepreneur? Like going from up to down and then coming up again? That's what you would say?
Roller coaster. Yeah, this is the roller coaster. You go every day. You go up and down, up and down. And as I said, AQ. That's exactly the issue of adversity quotient. The ability to sustain all the troubles, all the disappointments, all the no's, all all this. It's even more than hurdles. All these surprises, because you really get to be surprised negatively, not positively.
Yeah.
Many times, yeah. And still, you have to get up in the morning. I do have explanation about what's IQ. I'll give you an example. Think about the fact that you establish a company, finance, whatever, you work very hard, 20 hours a day. You try to build a product, you build a presentation, you argue about the presentation. Then, hey, someone tells you, hey, I have relations with this VC, and you set up time to go and visit him, and then you go to visit the VC, and actually come there, and and he's late by, doesn't happen to us, but he is late by 20 minutes, and then he gets into the meeting room, and he actually does whatever, he does his messaging while you are talking. And after 20 minutes, say, no, you can stop here. I do understand. No, you are too early, or this doesn't fit us. And you go, and you have to come back to your friends. And do you know what a good entrepreneur is doing? The good entrepreneur will say, hey, I went to these guys. They were fucked. They were not interested. Yeah. Actually, I didn't have even the chance to pass slide number 6. I prepared 84, but whatever, it happens as well. I saw a presentation of 200 slides, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah. But that's the bad. The good entrepreneur will tell his friends, listen, I went to the meeting, and I think that he was excited. He told me that he wants to see us while we will progress. So we'll continue. And yeah, there's a good chance. So now I have his phone number, and I can call him whenever we need. And the entrepreneur goes, and even when the VC says not interested or doesn't fit us, whatever, he should ask questions. What can I improve? Or do you know other people that might be interested? Can you do the favor? If you're really bold, you can say, can you do me the favor and introduce me to these people? And you have to become the friend of the investor, whoever it is. Yeah. So this is the difference between the guy.
It reminds me of a saying of Churchill that success is keeping the motivation and the energy from failure to failure. So it's really similar to what you're saying. So why do you think Israel is the startup nation?
Israel, first, I'm not crazy about Israel startup nation, and I would believe, I would prefer Israel to be the high-tech nation.
High-tech nation. Okay.
We are a startup nation, if you want to stick to the startup nation, because
it's not I didn't invent it,
there are many entrepreneurships, and there are many entrepreneurs in the country. It's a country of entrepreneurship, and it's a country of entrepreneurship for one stupid reason. But many times people say, hey, don't say it, but I'll say it because I don't see anybody. No one is listening to us.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
So I think that it's not that there is a Israeli entrepreneurship. There is the Jewish entrepreneurship. And let me explain why. I think that Jews in general, worldwide, by the way, you see it in America, many of the startups there are born by Jewish people, much higher proportion to their compared to what the percentage of the overall population in the States. And you know the names, almost any second company in the body, The reason is that Jews are people who, over the years, 2,000 years, were thrown away from every country they went, and they were not allowed to work, to own a land. They really have to struggle to survive. And by the way, many dies. You look at the nation, which is a very old nation, and still there are all over the world, there are only 13, 14 million Jews. That's the numbers. Why the number is so small? Because the others used to kill the Jews, So sure. To stay alive, you had to be an entrepreneur. You had to find your way, to find some jobs, to buy here, sell there, go from this place to this place. This guy is bad to us. Let's move to this city, the other country. And what happened through the 2,000 years, the non-entrepreneurs, every generation died. My grandfather stayed alive because he was an entrepreneur. He saw Hitler coming to Poland. He took his only unmarried son and ran away to Russia. He told me his story. He said, we had neighbors in the city we lived in. I told the guys, hey, let's run away. This Hitler said, no, come on, we'll stay home. If we run away, someone will break to the house and will take all the furnitures. We have to keep we have to keep the furnitures. The entrepreneur said, hey, something changed. There is a risk. We went this way. Now we have to go this way. That's meaning of entrepreneur. Yeah. He's alive because he was entrepreneur. So so the percentage wise, Jews are more entrepreneurs, I believe, compared to other nations. And of course, in Israel, there are many, many Jews, which means a lot of entrepreneurship, startup nation.
Yeah. It reminds me of a story that I heard from my grandmother. She told me a very similar story. She came from Pelham too.
One more thing, but don't mistake between entrepreneurship and smart, because these guys can still be Jews, can be great entrepreneurs. Doesn't mean that they are smarter than others. Actually, I have many proofs that Israelis are less smart than other nations. This is one of the proofs related to political election. But it doesn't matter.
I think that it reminds me of my previous guest. He's called Benny Schlick, and he's working with entrepreneurs. And he told me that he has a slide when he's talking about Israel, and it's about the results from the PISA tests. And we are number 30 in math tests, which is not that good after all. So it's like the numbers show that we are not that smart in math. But one of the questions they asked is how confident you are with the results. And then we came number 1. So I think it relates to what you're saying. It really makes sense. So what did you learn from failing as an entrepreneur?
First, I think that failures are really the right way to study and to learn and to understand stuff. Because, you can read books about failures, what happen. You can make success, but you can't duplicate success. It's very, very difficult to duplicate success. Failures is exactly the time that you look at what you have done and what could you do differently and what happened here and what happened there. And I do have many failures in my history. Now, you learn from any failure, you learn a lot. By the way, failures is not just by establishing company and terminating it. Failures in my job today, sometimes there are meetings within my colleagues, and at the end of the meeting, I say, hey, I failed not to express things which I wanted to express the right way. I failed because I didn't really treat my partners maybe the right way I should treat. Maybe I failed in talking with this company because I didn't do good enough job to understand what they actually wanted to say, or I didn't really treat them. Life are full of failures. It's daily. And there are huge failures. There are small failures. Now every failure you learn stuff. So if you want me to tell you what I learned from my failures, we have to I have to talk for probably maybe, I would say something like 346 hours.
Next time.
All my life is learning from failures. So you can't ask this question.
Yeah, I think, but most people, when they think about a startup, they think about the exit, they think about the money. And most startups, they do fail. I think about 90% of first entrepreneur startups.
So you can ask me, there's a company I established called Modu. Modu stands for Modular Phones. Coincidentally, my nickname is Dubi. Yeah, so people in Israel call me Dubi. So it's Moran Dubi, M-O-T-U, Modu. Yeah. Coincidentally, of course. It's really coincidental. But Modu had this amazing concept of modular phones, and the word Modu comes actually from modular, Modu. Yeah? And I established this company after selling M System to SanDisk for $1.6 billion, and I failed quite miserably at Modu, and now it was amazing company, great promise. We raised money, we raised a lot of money, and still I failed. And there were great people working at the company, and many people ask the questions, why did we fail? We ask ourselves, why did we? So many people came with the answer, hey, you came with this idea of a phone while Apple came out with iPhone. And iPhone changed totally the market of cellular phones. And every phone in the world after the iPhone became an iPhone compatible. This is an iPhone, screen, cover, SIM battery. That's it. Yeah, that's a phone. And our idea was so much contrary to that, we couldn't really fight against the world trend. Yeah, and but clearly this is an excuse. It's not the right reason. There are other reasons. We were not smart enough to catch and understand fast enough that this is what's happening and change ourselves. My biggest failure at Modu, I left M Systems. I went to establish Modu, but then I felt that I need Modu to actually. I didn't sell M Systems happily. I didn't want to sell M Systems. It's a long story. I won't get into that. Actually, selling M Systems, I felt that this was a failure, despite the $1.6 billion.
Most people won't say it's a failure, of course, with this number.
But even financially, I think it's one of my biggest failures. I think that the company could reach to much higher value. We had amazing plans. We were in a very good progress, growing and then bringing very interesting product to the market. But anyway, so I sold them systems, and when I established Modu, I said, hey, I want to go back to the $1 billion revenue of M Systems very, very fast. And then I went to raise money, and it took me no effort to raise money. I raised $20 million with a presentation of 11 pages, 11 slides. 5 out of the 11 slides were pictures with no text.
Yeah.
And one thing I didn't bother to prepare when I went to raise this money is a P&L, a projected P&L. How much money would be required? When are we going to have product? What will be the cost of the product? What will be the gross margin? And I believe today that if I would do this job, if somebody, and by the way, it was so easy to raise the money. I took money from the people I chose, actually, $20 million. This was the initial amount. I took the money from the wrong investors. And you have to pick your investor. That's a lesson that I'm trying to tell everybody. Pick the right investors. If you can pick, by the way, sometimes you can't. Sometimes say you rush for the money. At least when you go to raise money, say who do you want to raise the money from? Go to those guys ahead of the others. Yeah. If they say no, then you go to the others. If they say no, go to the. Finally, if your grandmother said, "Hey, I'll give you the money. Take the money from her if you really need to or whatever," I won't do it. But I took the money from guys that were nice guys, but I said, "Hey, I'll take from there. Next round, I'll take from others." This is not important. This is very, very important. Who are you taking the money from? And then there was no. If I would prepare a P&L, I would understand. If I would do the job the way it should be done, that this will require a lot of money. If this will require $100 million, $200 million, it's building a phone. It's not like software, whatever. It's building from scratch. It's, by the way, when we begin that, we need to build it, including the operating system, hardware. We had a very special interface that we wanted to establish. Semiconductor was involved, antennas, RF, audio, everything. Yeah, it's a very costly operation. The right investors are not a VC that they used to write a check for $5 million because they will not have the capability to continue support you. Go to private equity and say, hey, that's what I want to do. The story could be very different. So that's part of the lessons I learned there.
Yeah, so many lessons, and like we cannot not say that we're in the middle of the COVID crisis. And I want to ask you, as an investor, what are the technologies that you believe will grow from this state?
There's no doubt that digital health is going to do amazingly, and the whole issue of health, hospitals, pharma, These are very old technologies or very old means of hundreds of years, 100+ years, uh, which are quite terrible. You know, first a hospital, when people before the COVID-19, when people used to come to Israel and ask me, "Hey, isn't it a dangerous place?" I said, "You know, there is a dangerous place in Israel." I say, "What's that?" Hospital. Don't go to visit hospitals in Israel. In Israel, regardless of the COVID-19, every year, 5,000 people are dying. Dying not because they came to die there, because they caught something, bacteria, whatever, that actually is killing people. This is the dangerous stuff, by the way. It's more dangerous than COVID-19. And and all of it has to be changed. All the whole way of treating people. Hospital is a terrible place to treat people because, you know, mental treatment is not done there. People are coming there, and even if they are healthy, they would become sick just by staying there by
Yeah,
themselves,
yeah, I totally agree. I
getting the
totally.
food and getting the no treatment or depend on others. So I do believe that all the issue of hospitals has to be totally different. All the issue of pharma. You give medicine to people. Is it really working? You know, I do believe that many of the, and I know very well the whole procedures of FDA, of approval medicine, so much medicine is given and with no effect. Many of the medicines that is given with negative effect. Uh, some medicine might be good for male, not good for female, vice versa. A lot of stuff is not checked. And the worst thing is that there is no real, despite the fact that FDA demands the pharma company to do a follow-on patients and see, they don't really do it, and it's all fake. And so a lot of medicine that is, you know, sold, used, doesn't really do the job. On the other side, you can develop today so much more effective medicine by using AI means and by using smart tests and by using uh, many procedures, which is not, hey, let's take 200 people, give them half of them the pill and half of them
Yeah.
the placebo, which, you know, it's, and then have somebody doing it, you know, which the fact that so much money is put into that, and you see company that goes through stage 1 and stage 2, and then after, while having successful stage 2, still fail at stage 3. Hey, something is fucked in the system.
Yeah, I know that it's really hard to be a successful startup in medical. So many things you need to go through in order to get there. And you could be very, very smart and successful, and you have a great solution, and you can't go through it. It takes so long.
So I believe that all the issue of exploring new medicine has to be much more by computerizing and AI and analyzing rather than trying. Yeah, I believe that people would have sensors. Everybody will have sensors. So and all this data will go up to the cloud, and all the data will be monitored. So things like COVID-19, I claim that things like COVID-23 won't exist. Means what I will not exist won't exist. Yeah, there'll be COVID-23, let's say 15 years from now, and it will happen. It will begin at, let's say, a village in Malaysia. Okay, but then the systems worldwide will be so advanced that everybody will have these sensors, and these sensors will sense that, hey, something is happening. This village, you know, there's one guy that is becoming sick, and then there are 4, and then there are 16. In 48 hours or 72 hours, whatever, an alert would come. Hey, there is a new COVID-23 is just
Yeah,
merged out in this village in Malaysia. Let's close the village. Okay,
yeah,
and you in Israel or the States or wherever, you even won't know that COVID-23 just merged, because it will emerge, it will hit some people and disappear. That's a new medicine. That's a new health system that I believe is going to happen. And in a way, COVID-19 would give a very, very good push toward this direction.
Wow. So we're almost done. I have so many questions that I didn't do, but I'll select the last one that I think I have to ask you. From all of the achievements you have, what is the one that you're most proud of?
I don't know. I used to say that this is until several years ago that my best achievement was that when I was in the officer schools, I was 3 times in a row. I was number one in my in nivutim. How do you say nivutim?
Navigations.
In navigation. Yeah, I was very good in navigation. Hey, 3 times in a row, number one in the
Wow.
whole yeah. That's very difficult. Being number one
Yeah.
time, that's difficult. But doing it 3 times in a row, I think it's a record that not too many people really broke. Maybe somebody did, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But you have so many like other stuff that you did since then, and you think they don't compare to this level of
Hey, this
like
was amazing. Hey,
top.
how many people did something like that? I don't know if
It's not underestimating. It's like I was sure you would say something which is related to tech in any, or maybe your family. I don't know.
Adi, many people have inventions. Come on, I had another invention. But there are many inventions every year. One thing which I may be proud of, which people are not aware to, you see in the phone today, you use flash. Every phone has a flash inside. And one thing which I'm very proud for M Systems, my company, in flash, there are two kinds of flash. Used to be two kinds of flash. One is called NOR flash, one is called NAND flash. And the rule was that NOR flash is the one that you can use for code, because you can fetch one command after the other. So this is NOR flash. It was big business, like for Intel, for example, it was two and a half, three, maybe $3 billion business a year. Intel was number one in NOR flash. And there's another kind of flash called NAND flash, which is for data storage, like emulating a hard disk. You use NAND flash. And we actually found a way to take a NAND flash and succeed to eliminate the NOR flash and put the code into the NAND flash in a way that would allow the processor to boot out of the NAND, which seems like impossible. But all the inventions are, hey, these guys. And by doing that, actually, we eliminated the need in NOR flash in the phone. Now you have to understand the meaning of it. Every phone, before we brought this product to the market, which was like 2001, 2002, then it moved on to 2003, 2004. But before 2002, before we brought it to the market, every phone that was sold, every phone used to have a NOR flash. The cost of the NOR flash was, let's say, $4, $5, $6, $8, depends how much you wanted to put in. This was for the code. Multiplied by 1 billion phones a year, this is about $5 billion. By inventing a component called disk on chip that actually took NAND flash and allowed the software reside on the NAND flash, we eliminated the need in NOR flash. We killed for Intel business of over $2 billion and other companies. And you should ask me, why are you so proud of that?
It doesn't happen every day that you eliminate an industry, I would say.
Because practically what we have done, we saved for everybody additional cost of $10 on his phone. And I'm very proud of that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. And it's like everybody has one. So it's like making everybody's life much better, at least in 10 USD.
Yeah, so, Intel doesn't really hate me. They are good guys. I like Intel. They are very good friends. They invest with us in some of our investments. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to thank you so much for joining me. It's been a very insightful and interesting talk. So thank you for joining me. And thanks everybody who joined us and all the change makers out there. I'm going to join you next week. And thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
I'm Adima Zaukario, and you've been listening to the Invincible Innovation Podcast. Make sure to visit our website, invincibleinnovation.com, where you can learn more about our programs and my book, Innovating Through Chaos. I'll be waiting for you next week in our next episode. Thank you for listening.